Hello and welcome to episode 73 of PubShorts. Tomorrow never knows. My name is Dr. KK, the innovation officer at Trinka and Inago, and I have with me Tony, who has all the Beatles records that have ever come out.
And of
That's
which Tomorrow Never Knows is the last song on this wonderful record. This is probably my favourite Beatles record, Revolver.
right, right.
It's a very apt title for what we're about to discuss in this episode.
Right, Tony, please introduce yourself, the show, and let's get to talking the news stories.
Welcome everyone. So I'm Tony O'Rourke and I'm VP for Partnerships here at Inago. My colleague KK, who's head of innovation. This is PubShorts, which is I won't say weekly, it's probably sometimes more than once a week, often two a week, episodic, great word, podcast, vodcast, whatever you want to call it, where we talk about different aspects of different news stories that impact on research and research communication. And the previous episode, we talked a lot about sort of US government policy and how that's impacting on research. And in today's episode, we're going to be focusing more on some of the technology, again, looking at how AI is being developed and used in research and research communication.
Right, and why are we talking about Tomorrow Never Knows as a title?
Well, that's a very good question, KK. I'm glad you asked me. As you know, Tomorrow Never Knows, which I think goes back to, was it 1966? It was the last track on the Beatles' groundbreaking album, Revolver. And it very much lends its title to this episode because it sort of underscores, highlights the really unpredictable frontiers of AI in research. We just don't know where. I mean, we none of us can fully predict where AI is going to go.
Right.
And just as the song's avant-garde soundscapes broke from convention, we also explore how AI agents, cognitive atrophy risks, and hallucination pitfalls will propel science into uncharted territory.
Tony, you should write in real life, I think.
Well, somebody should.
All right, so let's start with the first story itself. So this is from Nature News. I think we cover at least 2 or 3 Nature News stories in every episode. So this is titled "Medical AI Trained on Whopping 57 Million Health Records," and I was shocked at this because I thought of IP rights and copyright issues and everything. So the medical AI that we are talking about is called Foresight, and it was trained on 57 million health records. Data from England's National Health Service was apparently used for this, and this AI aims to improve medical predictions and diagnostics, but it raises the questions about data privacy and ethics. I was startled to hear this, especially the NHS part of it. Tony, your thoughts?
I'm not sure if startled is a strong enough word. I was horrified. Is this something which has been licensed? Is this something the NHS has made available? Has it simply been scraped? I find it. I'm sure there must be a legitimate use of the concept, but why is this the first we in the UK find out that our health records are being used for some independent database?
So the only logical explanation that I have is that if you have what do you call as a name, redaction of all the sensitive information, you make it into just simply data that does not reveal the identities of people or whatever that the data belongs to. Maybe there is a legitimate use case, and
are they doing that?
I don't know that. I mean, we don't have any further information, but I thought it was relevant in the context of obviously information, intellectual property, information security, and everything, and the fact that we, Inago and Trinka, we pride ourselves on the fact that we ensure that the data of our clients as well as customers do not.
And is this medical AI Foresight an NHS AI? Is it something NHS has developed, or where does it come from?
I do not have the answer to this, and currently the article is also behind a paywall. So we can discuss.
Well, actually, while we're talking, I'll just do a quick search. So it's using de-identified NHS data. So exactly that. So it's de-identified NHS data from 57 million people in England. And this has been done by 2 very important universities, University College London and King's College London, to develop an innovative system to help clinicians, planners and policymakers predict health outcomes.
Yeah.
And it was stemmed from the COVID era.
Yeah.
While maintaining strict privacy. And so it is It is actually an NHS England SDE. So yes, okay, I
Yeah.
understand now. It's
But
in a secure data environment.
thanks for confirming this. But the whole idea behind, if suppose AI, developers and the organization who make such AI products need to be trusted, they need to
Yeah.
take care of data security.
Okay. Now I've looked into the background.
Yeah.
It's NHS. I'm much more inclined to trust
Hmm.
the NHS if they're saying that data's been de-identified, and therefore, if what you're doing is there's no link to the individuals that are concerned, it's simply looking at symptoms, causes, and prognosis and diagnoses, and looking for the relationships there, then why not?
Yeah. Okay.
Then got to be a good thing.
Right. Moving on to the next story, another Nature News Q&A. AI models are capable of novel research. OpenAI's chief scientist on what to expect. So Jacob Pachocki, I hope I'm getting this right, is OpenAI's chief scientist. He discusses the potential of AI models to conduct novel research. He highlights OpenAI's plans to release an open version for researchers, and the focus is on the development of advanced AI systems and for complex tasks. And AI's future role could include autonomous software engineering and hardware design. And there are talks about things like reinforcement learning, which we ourselves used. Tony, you're aware of it
Yeah,
for Trinka and
absolutely. Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
So
yeah.
basically, OpenAI is claiming that it'll make a version of like semi-autonomous to autonomous scientific research assistant made available to researchers. This is what, if you want to summarize it. What are your thoughts on this?
Um, I think the words human guardrail comes to mind once again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure there are areas where AI should be more used in terms of some of these laborious mathematical calculations, for example. In software engineering, yes, I can see there's a role there.
Yeah.
But I suppose I'm a little bit skeptical about how real this is, and whether how much of this is just publicity and how much of this is actually truth.
Yeah.
But it's it's an interesting news story, and one that we should continue to monitor, because it does raise questions about data use, energy, legitimate use of energy.
Right, right. And talking about research assistants, we have some news. 67 Bricks has developed a new agentic AI research assistant for proprietary content. This
Yeah,
tool integrates natural language querying, keeping content control intact, and it's compatible with bespoke and third-party platforms. And it provides answers based on paywall and proprietary content. That this caught my attention, and it suggests additional reading to deepen users' knowledge. In the sense, very similar to what the AI reading assistant Inago Read in under the Trinka brand does. And it's very interesting that there are more and more new players in this AI research assistant, literature assistant space. Your thoughts,
yeah.
Tony?
Well, then my thoughts. I know 67 Bricks as a company. I've certainly worked with them in the past.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very good organisation with a deep history in developing sort of software and tools. So yeah, I think this is something to monitor closely.
Right.
But at the same time, the market is big enough to support a number of different reading assistants. We have our own reading assistant through Inago Read. And if you're looking at Inago reading assistants for your own use, I would urge you to
Yeah.
have a broad look at what's out there, and have a look at Inago Read.
Excellent. Thanks, Tony. And the next story is related to DeepMind, Google's, I think the branch within Google that works on AI systems, etc. DeepMind unveils spectacular general purpose science AI, another science AI development, and it's called Alpha Evolve. The AI system improves chip designs and tackles unsolved mathematics problems. We talked about maths, right, in the context of a song, which we'll talk about very soon. Alpha Evolve is based on Gemini family of large language models. It combines language model creativity with evaluative algorithms. The system has not yet been made available to external researchers, but Alpha Evolve has improved Google's AI chip designs already, and is optimized has already optimized computing resources. So basically, and another interesting AI I guess AI tool for improving its own development in terms of technology.
Yeah, I mean it's AI for developing AI.
Yeah.
Um, Again, it's one of these kind of self-fulfilling prophecies that where will the human what part will the human play in the whole process? Yeah, the opportunity, I think, to um, provide alternatives to tools like this. I think the proof of the pudding is going to see the sort of results it comes back with. But I mean, we've been experimenting ourselves in terms of how we can customize our own AI to make them more directly useful within sort of scholarly publishing workflows or in general publishing workflows by customizing it using more reinforced learning techniques. But the market is moving very quickly. There's no question.
That's very true, very true. And talking about more announcements, OpenAI has announced Codex. So what is Codex? It is a cloud-based software engineering agent and can handle multiple coding tasks in parallel, like writing features and fixing bugs. It's available for ChatGPT Pro Team and Enterprise users, with Plus users being added soon. And it can run tasks in isolated cloud environments with preloaded repositories. And it is apparently designed for safety with verifiable outputs with a focus on information security. If you remember, code hijacking is something that is a new, so it's like a new form of injection, code injection. I think it's a new form of hacking.
Right.
And so anyway, so this is a new development. OpenAI has come up with a lot of announcements in the duration, Tony, that you were away in the US talking to clients and publishers. So a lot of news to cover and talk about.
I go away for 2 weeks and look what happens. Yeah. I suppose not being a software engineer, and not really understanding kind of the work that they do, where does that leave the software engineer? I suppose in a sense, and how does this fit in to the work that they do? Yes, I know they say it's about helping developers to reduce things like routine handling tasks, but what does that leave for the program? I mean, I'm just curious. I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, you can ask this question for every aspect of AI assistance, including peer review. And the whole idea is that there are things that AI systems cannot do that humans only can do. And with the help of AI, things can be better for both AI and human. As in, if you use AI alone or human alone, you would not get. It's not the sum of parts. It is.
Yeah, absolutely. It just demonstrates my ignorance in terms of how software is engineered.
Right. All right. So moving on to the next from Times, the New York Times. This is a very interesting thing. I pick your brain regarding this. The professors are using ChatGPT, and some students aren't happy about it. So this was again somewhat of a surprising news article. So what the article describes is that some of the professors who tell students that they should not be using AI are using tools like ChatGPT for coursework, and this has upset its students. Students feel that it's hypocritical since they are not told to. I mean, they're told to not to use AI, and professors say AI helps them manage workloads and improve teaching. The use of AI by professors is increasing in higher education. This is a general concern, and some universities have guidelines for AI use in education. So generally, there's a debate in which who can use AI, and if suppose students can use AI, should only then should the professors also be allowed to use AI. What is missing in this debate, Tony, is that
sorry.
Yeah. So what is missing, in my opinion, is that what are people using for, and what are the consequences for it? So what the main argument against students using AI without any sort of control is that the whole point of education is to learn new things, and if the unregulated use of AI, basically using AI to do their assignments and copy pasting that content into submissions, etc., is not going to help students learn, and that is missing in this. But I also see the point that if suppose you tell students not to use AI, then professors should also not use AI. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I agree. So we launched a service called DocuMark a few months ago, which is around providing universities and research organizations a means of identifying what we call the source of truth.
Right.
So this, so if a student's presenting a dissertation or a thesis or an essay, whatever, how if they use DocuMark to say, well, how much of it's been cut and pasted from another source, how much of it's been AI generated, and how much of it's actually been, generated by human hand. I think what this highlights to me is kind of the need for transparency in how AI is used. And one of the things we've started, we're going to be promoting quite widely in the next few months is this thing called the responsible AI movement. And the responsible AI movement is really arguing for the need for better education in the use of AI and transparency in the use of AI. And some, not just when you're publishing papers, but generally in the whole research process, research communication process, Um, for researchers, for research managers, for faculty, for libraries, for publishers, education institutions, research institutions, to understand or to at least to understand how AI has been used. It's not going to go away. It's there. It's a reality. Um, Going back to this particular instance, if these particular institutions had signed up to responsible AI movement, then the students would understand how those professors have been using
Mm-hmm.
generative AI to produce coursework. But of course, these professors um, uh, will be checking that material. They'll be making sure that material is relevant and can be communicated. Why take 5 hours to do something if it takes you 5 minutes? If it's something that you already know, it's different for the student who needs to get to that
Yeah.
point where they understand something, where
Right.
they need to learn and absorb themselves. Um, but I think that there is definitely a requirement for transparency in terms of how AI is assisting that whole communication process.
Excellent summarization. The one point that I'd like to add for the responsible AI movement is that we are enabling students a sort of self-reflection on how they're using AI, and if whether what they're doing is the right way to eventually learn what they're supposed to learn. And by providing these things in front of them, they will be able to make the better decisions in terms of how to use AI responsibly. And that's one of the key features of the movement. And I'm really pumped about it. And if suppose somebody is interested in finding more about it, we are soon launching the page related to the responsible AI movement, where we will invite publishers and organizations to sort of be a part of the movement, and in turn, we will help conduct these educational courses and webinars in terms of teaching students and researchers how to use AI responsibly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and there is good practice, and I think it's important that we share what good practice looks like.
Right. Right. Excellent. So we are moving on to the next story. It is from Gizmodo. This is related to OpenAI itself. It's breathtaking how fast AI is screwing up the education system. It's very related to what we are just talking about. So the American education system is being disrupted by AI chatbots. Students like those in at Columbia use AI for essays and assignments, and the article criticizes the view of education as a means to build social capital without real learning. If you use AI. AI is seen as making students and teachers overly reliant and less capable, and some educators encourage AI use, overlooking the potential harm to learning. The article warns about the future of education and the reliance of AI. We touched on almost everything here, but this maybe we should have discussed this before the article about the professors using ChatGPT. But these are the concerns. These are the exact concerns that we hope to address as part of the responsible AI movement, right, Tony?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't say any more. That's absolutely right. There's the importance of understanding what responsible use of AI is and what good practice looks like.
Right, right. All right, moving on to the next story. This is it's a question. Is it okay for AI to write science papers? Nature survey shows researchers are split. So this came of a couple 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago. Right now, again, it's all because Tony, you've been touring a lot and working really hard in terms of meeting our clients and everything. You should not be working so hard, is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So
I enjoy my work.
so this article is it's actually the result of a survey. So researchers are divided I'm talking about the results of the survey. The researchers are divided on using AI for manuscript preparation. Some see it as acceptable, and some others do not see it. Most agree that AI can help in editing and translating papers, but only a few researchers have actually used AI in the scenarios presented. Hope you have taken the survey yourself. Have you taken the survey, Tony?
I haven't taken the survey out.
Yeah, this
I
must.
probably should.
No, I think this is already closed. I think it came in the middle of April, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
It was a
but
fun
then
thing for
again,
me.
I'm not a researcher, so I mean, maybe my thoughts aren't going to be quite so relevant.
Yeah, I understand your point. I think that there was an option to choose what you are in the scheme of research as well. So you could also research support or something. I don't remember
Okay.
how I could.
Did you submit the research?
Yeah.
So,
So only a few researchers have actually used AI, as I mentioned in the scenarios presented. Disclosure of AI use is a point of contention among
yeah.
researchers, and surveys showed younger researchers are more open to using AI for editing. And actually, this is another point vis-a-vis our responsible AI movement, the responsible use of AI movement, the one of the challenges that the STM Association's draft report on AI assistance has pointed out, that publishers and journals are not consistent across the board in terms of what is to be documented by the researcher or the authors.
And nor is industry, if we're honest.
Yeah.
I had a case recently where an organisation that we used to work with to provide translation services has come to us and said, look, we've got some material that is has been translated. I think they use an AI, or they use AI to translate this content. However, that the organisation they were presenting it to was saying, well, look, no, this isn't good enough. You need to provide certificates of authentication here, and which these translation tools can't do. So they're still using services like ours to validate and to verify whatever is being presented.
Right.
So it's. I mean, we're seeing even that when with AI editing, people have used AI to edit content, and then the papers getting rejected because they're not very well written.
Right.
So and then we end up editing it anyway.
Yeah. So one the point about the responsible use of AI movement is that one other thing that we are trying to achieve is for letting publishers know that things are not consistent, and that there could be clearer guidelines for, especially for the researchers, to indicate what AI assistance is permitted and what needs to be disclosed in terms of transparency. And so we are hoping that it will make this change happen faster. And that's one of the things that I think, Tony, you are already in negotiation with several publishers for them joining this movement.
Oh, well, it's not a negotiation, it's an invitation.
Right.
And I'm hopeful that everybody that we talk to will want to sign up at least to part of the movement.
Right. Now, to put some, I guess, a damp towel on the AI optimism that we have a New York Times story which says that why we are unlikely to get artificial general intelligence anytime soon. So it discusses the skepticism around the arrival of AGI. We have talked about what AGI is. Tech leaders like Sam Altman and Elon Musk predict that artificial general intelligence will arrive soon, but many experts disagree. AGI, if for those who are not aware, refers to an AI that matches human intelligence across various tasks, but defining what AGI is very tricky, and many believe that the current technology is not capable of achieving AGI yet, and human intelligence is complex and not fully understood itself, which makes it difficult for us to replicate it using AI. And eventually, the one of the main arguments in this is that the current line of AI development is not going to lead to artificial general intelligence, and so that may be delayed. That's the whole point of the article. So, Tony, what are your thoughts on this?
I agree in that. I mean, I don't know enough about the tech detail to say whether it's going to be this year or next year. I think AGI is inevitable. As processors get faster, as processing power gets fast, computing power gets bigger and better, and almost exponentially. Moore's law still applies.
Yeah.
It will eventually happen. And I think you'd expect the pioneers in this space, those kind of leaders like Sam Altman and Elon Musk, to want it to happen sooner rather than later. I think there is no consensus as to when it will happen. I think it will happen, but when, I've got no idea. In my lifetime, possibly, yeah.
Right. But if you go by, accepted works of fiction, it should happen very soon, right? Neuromancer.
Well, if you accepted works of fiction, it should have happened 20 years ago.
Right. I give you that. I'll give you points for that. All right. So moving on to quick hits, we have three. The first one is a guest post from the Scholarly Kitchen, fostering AI adoption and literacy within your organization. So in a nutshell, I'm not listing out all the points. It says that if suppose you are in the industry and you are involved in AI development, your own organization needs to be AI literate, and there needs to be dedicated programs to ensure that. And the reason why I brought it up is because we ourselves are doing this for our own organization, Tony, within Inago and Trinka. We are getting AI training for everybody else, everybody who is not directly working with AI. And I thought it was a very interesting thing that we found on Scholarly Kitchen, which is considered to be the gold standard in, I guess, thought leadership in the academic publishing space. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and this is an organization, Stephanie Lovegrove Hanson's from Silverchair, which is very much an AI led and driven organization. In terms of some of the tools I meant to say, not it's not managed run by AI, but it's certainly implementing AI products and services. And Stephanie's absolutely right. Like we were saying about the responsible AI movement, that doesn't just apply in education. I think it applies in any workspace where AI can be can bring a benefit. There needs to be greater literacy. There needs to be better training and resources for all employees at every level to understand how AI can be used safely and responsibly.
Excellent, excellent. I didn't think of responsible use of AI movement in the context of organizations within our industry, but it
Yeah,
makes perfect
this
sense.
is exactly, it makes exactly the same thing.
Yeah, right. So the next one is from STM Publishing News. It is titled PubHive unveils AI-powered language translation to streamline global pharmacovigilance, medical affairs, and regulatory workflows. Another sort of AI implementation in medicine and pharmaceutical sciences. It
Yeah.
basically helps in translating non-English literature to English, and this tool is integrated into PubHive Navigator platform, and it streamlines workflows for global pharmacovigilance teams and reduces costs. So,
Mm.
an excellent sort of step in terms of supporting the pharmacovigilance teams of pharma in general, as well as medical researchers, to give to break the barriers of language, I would say.
Well, yeah, except as I say, some of the technology is moving faster than than reality in terms of how these tools are being adopted and used. I mentioned this example of this organization which used AI, I believe, to translate, or at least they used a machine to translate some document from one language to another. I think it was from English to Korean, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
But the organization that was receiving that documentation rejected it without some form of certification of authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to see more and more tools like this. These tools are going to get better and better. I mean, we've all seen how much better Google Translate's become in the last few years, for example.
Right.
But it's still today lacks the kind of the real accuracy and the skill of an expert translator, human translator. I think we're still a long way off that yet.
Right, and I mean, when you need that level of expertise, you can use services like the ones that we offer for translation. You
Well,
need,
absolutely,
yeah.
yeah, and equally, if in our life sciences group, if you need materials, for example, to communicate new drugs or new treatment areas, new therapies.
Mm-hmm.
You want that. You need to write that content. You need it translated into other materials. We have resources that can do that for you as well through our inaugural life sciences group.
Excellent. The last quick hit, AI language models develop social norms like groups of people. I thought it was an interesting thing in the context of AGI. So, a new study found that LLMs develop social norms through interactive games. So, this is done by Anthropic. The LLM Claude was tested by
Lord, yeah.
pairing models to name objects consistently emerged. And grouped LLMs developed a collective bias, choosing some options more frequently. A few dissenting LLMs could change established conventions in the group, and findings suggest potential for harmful biases even in seemingly unbiased models. And there are 2 points to this. First of all, we are still anthropomorphizing large language models, and we should probably stop doing that. The second thing, most of the information that these models have learned is based on human thought and human cognitive processes, right? So eventually they will
Yeah.
inherit some of these biases without I mean, in terms of the process of reaching a bias, as I would believe. What are your thoughts on
Yeah.
this?
I don't particularly have any thoughts relating to this story, but kind of reading the story made me think of that old game Second Life. How you go into the game and you create communities within the game,
Uh-huh.
and that's based on sort of the behaviours of those individuals. I suppose, as you say, if you're training LLMs on human create content and human thought, then eventually those LLMs will replicate and emulate
Right.
those groups of individuals. And if you're using agentic networks with multiple LLMs, some of those LLMs can have different, eventually have different points of view. And, that's what community is, isn't it?
Right, right. This reminded me of the works of Neil Stephenson. I mean, Snow and the rest of the series in the rest of the books in that series. I mean, this is very much similar to sort of groups of AIs having social implications and deciding the fate of humanity and everything. So that's what I was I was thinking about. You thought of a game. Interesting.
You've thought about it much more deeply than I have, clearly.
That's all relative, Tony. As is everything, I think, in real life as well. Which also brings us to the end of PubShorts episode 73. So, Tony, if somebody were to find all the other previous episodes, which all have unique song references from UK artists, and that's the theme of this entire series, where can they find more about it, and where can they send feedback about what they would like
Yeah.
to hear?
So this is episode 73 of Pub Shorts. You can view all previous 72 episodes over on our YouTube channel. Just search Inago Pub Shorts on YouTube and you'll find that playlist. And we encourage you to press like and share the videos with your friends and colleagues. You can contact, if you've got any suggestions for topics, for example, for Pub Shorts, we'd love to hear from you. And thank you to those of you who sent suggestions through so far. You can contact KK and I via our LinkedIn accounts, or you can actually contact me directly at tonyo@inago.com. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Excellent. So until the next episode, this is Dr. KK signing off for Tony as well as for the team that helps us in supporting. We will see you in the next one. Bye, Tony.
See you in the next one.